Yo, what's good, everybody? Today, I am going to go over everything that we know about friend battles. Friend battles are coming on January 31st, unless, of course, there's any glitches or problems with friend battles at the time. They did say that they're working on a lot of things and that it's going to take some time. It could potentially have some problems. On January 12th, a blog from unity.com came out that kind of detailed a bunch of the questions that we had about friend battles. I'm going to leave a link to that blog post in the description below, but we're going to go over the entire blog post and I'm going to give my thoughts on how this is all going to work and what I think of the system. So here's the post. It's by Kent Eric Hagman, who is a developer on the game and a part of Second Dinner's team. To be precise, he is the associate design director, so we know that he knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to all these things. So the way that battle mode is going to work is that it's going to basically just be a one-on-one battle with any of your friends or anybody that you know. There's going to be a ton of tournaments that come out of this feature, and it's going to probably create a very competitive mode in Marvel Snap where you're going to see a lot of the top streamers, a lot of the top content creators that are just battling it out. I'm personally looking forward to it more than pretty much almost anything else in Marvel Snap. This is going to be so much fun. I'm going to be running tournaments every Friday on my Twitch stream, so keep an eye out for the link in the description below. Now, instead of having cubes, they're going to give us 10 health. Instead of having an 8-cube game, basically, when you snap, it's going to add to the damage that your opponent is going to take if they choose to continue the battle. There's still going to be room to kind of bluff snap. There's going to be a lot of retreating strategy where you don't want to take as much damage. You're not sure if you can win, and you just kind of get out of the game. It's a really, really cool concept to the battle mode. And for the entirety of the battle, each player's deck is going to be locked, meaning you're not going to get a chance to kind of swap out cards in between rounds. You're not going to get a chance to switch decks. You're basically going to be facing the same exact deck from your opponent, and your opponent is going to be facing your same exact deck. So it's going to allow for a lot of different types of strategies. It's going to be kind of tough. There might be a card that you don't want to play in the first round because you don't want to give away your hand or what's in your deck, and instead you kind of save that. It's going to be a lot of mind games and a lot of thinking about what your opponent is prepared to play and what they're prepared to do. And most importantly, it's going to allow you the chance to kind of overcome your opponent's deck in later rounds. So even if you do kind of get beat down really early on, you're going to get a chance to learn your opponent's deck and know what you have in your deck to counter it and to wait for that perfect moment. Like I said, it's a lot of mind games. There's a ton of thinking about each and every move. And in my opinion, with these differences in the gameplay, I believe that certain cards are going to end up being more important than cards that are normally great in ranked games. Now, do I know what those cards are? No, of course not. I haven't played battle mode yet, but once it comes out, I think that there's going to be an entire mindset shift for friend battles, and it's going to be really interesting to see what ends up being the quote-unquote meta cards in friend battles and how we can kind of implement certain strategies that we otherwise wouldn't be able to use. And Marvel Snap's goal for battle mode is for the battles to take about 20 minutes. They didn't want to overdo it. They didn't want things to get too drawn out, but they also didn't want it to be like a little short affair, a little 5-minute match with your friend. It would have kind of got a little boring. I personally think that 20 minutes is the perfect amount of time for a heads up battle mode type of matchup. And they go over a lot of things in the article that I'm not going to cover here. Things that they tested out and ways that they tested for how the mode would work, and they realized that a lot of it was kind of taking a little longer. So this article is definitely worth reading once you're finished with this video. I would highly encourage it because it looks like Second Dinner really went out of their way to make this as competitive and as interesting as possible. But one of the ways that they were able to keep it maintained at 20 minutes was by adding high stakes rounds that kick in after round 5. And for round 5, the damage actually begins begins at 2 damage instead of just 1. That's really going to help ramp things up because you can't just kind of beat down your opponent right away and just kind of take it easy and start to retreat unless you have the absolute nuts. The high stakes rounds are actually going to keep the pressure on both players even if one is up by a large amount. And a very important paragraph that I just wanted to read the entirety of is another thing we learned was that if players take some early beats and were 1 game away from running out of health, they could snap with impunity since it didn't matter if they ended up at 0 or -6 because death is death. We wanted to reward players for early victories, so now you cannot deal more damage than you have health remaining. It means that coming from behind is possible, but those early victories aren't irrelevant. And the bluffing aspect of snap remains intact since your opponent can't risk health that they don't have. I think that is such an important paragraph in this entire article because it really shows that they thought of all these different angles of how people would kind of take advantage if they were super underdogs and they were about to lose. I know for me personally, I would be snapping left and right to try and just make up the ground that I lost. But in this battle mode, you're going to have to think through every decision a little more. If you are down at the bottom and you only have 1 health left, you're still going to have to claw your way up and make every decision count. There is one sort of unfortunate piece of news. At the start of battle mode, we will not have global matchmaking. It's gonna come later on. They're promising that they're working on it. At the very launch of battle mode, it's gonna be a regional matchmaking, and we don't really know how that's gonna work. They didn't release any information on that. I don't know what the regions are. Maybe it's an entire country, maybe it's only a state, maybe it's only a city. I mean, it would probably be ridiculous if it was only a city. You never know until it actually gets released. It could even be a continent being a region. But that is something to keep in mind because if you were excited about taking on some people overseas, you're probably not going to be able to do it right away. And one more thing that the article mentioned is that ties will not be possible. They don't explain how that works. I don't know how it works. I would assume that they're talking about the health of each player. It won't be possible to tie there, but if they mean round by round, I think that would be really interesting. Maybe they add a 7th turn. Honestly, I don't know any of that. That's just pure speculation on my part. I totally just made that up. So take that with a grain of salt, especially since I could be misinterpreting what they mean by that. So that's everything that we know about friend battles up to this point. We still have about a week to go. I'm assuming that they're going to come out with more information before the update drops, but I just wanted to keep you guys informed. I wanted to give my opinions on how I felt about the system because I think it's really, really cool. And I am super, super hyped for this battle mode to drop. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate you. If you got some free time, check out some other content or subscribe to the channel and check it out later. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.